Hey Revolutionaries, I'm excited to bring you this week's episode with Dan Beech, where we're talking estate planning. Yes, estate planning, and more importantly, the big gap that exists in estate planning, which is how do you access your documents? Who gets access? How does access happen? What happens during emergencies? Who knows that you even have estate planning documents like powers of attorney and wills and those kind of things? How does it get access and who has access to it? How does it get stored? These questions have never been answered, and I've done my own estate planning, and I don't have any good answers of how to do it. And Dan has stepped in with his company, Archively.com, and he's trying to address this gap, and I'm super excited about it. He's just a couple months into his journey of getting this out there in the marketplace and notifying estate planning lawyers, and now individual sort of marketplace out there starting to discover it. I'm super excited about it because this is a real necessary thing. It always blew my mind when I talk to these educated lawyers, have a great service that creates your documents, and then I ask them, okay, so what do I do with these things? And they're like, well, we can keep a copy for you if you like. And it was like kind of confusing as they would create this great product and service, but the application of it is not quite clear how to really get the highest value of when things go awry in your life and in your relatives' lives or your spouse's lives. You know, what really happens? How's it go down? So Dan's trying to address this. I'm super excited for you guys to listen to this episode. But before we get there, real quick, I have a unique situation here about this episode in that I'm just calling it's going to be sponsored by Mile Method. So I don't really usually do sponsored episodes, but this one is sponsored by milemethod.com. I'm just doing it because I have a new affiliate code that Trevor has given me, which I'll explain here in a second. And it's included here in the show notes. So if you look at the show notes, it'll say milemethod.com with James behind it. That's my affiliate link. So if you're interested in the service and signing up, please click that link. And I don't know exactly what the kickback is that I get, but I get a few dollars for being an affiliate. But I am very psyched to be an affiliate and very excited about what Trevor's been doing with milemethod.com. So what's milemethod.com? It's basically a travel service that uses points, credit card points, to lower your cost of travel and even make the cost of travel zero. Maybe just the taxes involved on your flight. It can really go to zero. And it's helped me. It's one of my secrets of what I've been using to travel a lot in the last 10 years, since really kind of going to Asia for an extended time about 10 years ago. I discovered the digital nomad scene and the travel scene, learned a lot of travel hacks since then. And Trevor's been an OG that's been around a long time doing it. And I joined his service. I joined Mile Method, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years ago now. It's been a while. And he's grandfathered me in. I have lifetime access now. And it's been cool to see him develop his business and how it's changed from when I first joined, where he's doing everything on spreadsheets, Google spreadsheets and links, and it's a little bit clunky, even though the service was great, to now he's got his own app that he developed, and everything's more automated, and it's easier access, and now he's driving even bigger services, and he's starting to tell stories in a different way about his clients, which is cool. So maybe he'll have me on as a client story sometime. We'll see. He may be on the podcast coming up in the fall. I'll just throw that out there. milemethod.com, Trevor. Okay. We'll see if it happens. But he's always busy traveling, so he's hard to catch up with. But I just want to let you know, if you're looking to lower your cost of travel and you can hit the spending goals when you apply for new credit cards. So if you have spends, if you have things that you buy for your business all the time, or things that you would normally put on credit card expenses for your family, whatever, you probably can hit the spending goals. It's not that big of a deal. And if you can, it's very lucrative, I would say, or it will save you a lot of money when you go to travel. I'm talking about first-class flights, free hotel rooms, and if you go on extended stays, like I'll travel to Asia for 4 or 5 weeks sometimes. Maybe my entire time I'm there, I could pay for with credit card points. All the hotel rooms. Yeah, for real, like $0. It's crazy. So check it out, milemethod.com. Look for the link in the show notes. And yeah, I'm happy to sponsor this, to have milemethod.com sponsor this episode. So there you go. I don't do that very often. I don't even think I've even done it once, maybe once or twice over the years with the podcast. But I just got excited because I like seeing Trevor develop his business and seeing how he's developed the app now that you can access with AI, the new era of AI, whatever's in your brain, whatever you can think of, even if you don't have the particular coding skills or background in it. If you can be creative and see it through, you can really almost create anything now online. So hopefully maybe that serves as some inspiration out there for others that are trying to continue their journey and figure things out as the world gets reinvented here. So anyways, thanks, Trevor. But right now, let's check out Dan's podcast about archively.com. Here we go.
Welcome to Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast, the show that explores reinvention in the digital age as it relates to career, creativity, and technology. Stay tuned for interviews with professionals, entrepreneurs, and creatives that have reimagined success and are making a pivot. If you'd like to listen to the entire back catalog, visit Jim'sReinventionRevolution.com for instant access. And now, here's your host, Jim.
Hey everybody, hey, it's Jim, and welcome to episode 135 of Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast. I'm talking today with Dan Beech, and we're talking estate planning, archiving. Dan, what are we talking about today? Welcome to the Reinvention Revolution.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great to be here, and nice to connect with all your listeners and meet you as well. We're talking about continuity access between your estate plan and how your beneficiaries can actually, move on with their lives as you intended.
Okay, great. Well, I can't wait to dig into this because I know this from my own experience. So this feeling is in my body of frustration and of a big void in the marketplace of people addressing this.
Everyone.
When you go to do your estate planning documents or any kind of legal document, maybe it's a marriage license even, all this kind of stuff, right, that would be relevant to changes in your family, or if you pass away or if you get sick or whatever, powers of attorney, whatever. I got my legal thing. I thought I'm doing the right thing. I'm going to do this estate plan for myself.
Right.
And then I have the documents in my hands, and so I asked the lawyer, so what do I do with these things? And he was sort of like, almost even nonchalant about it. He's like, well, we could keep a copy for you. I'm like, oh okay, but how does that help me?
How does that help you?
If and I happen to be single, so I don't have a lot of people around me necessarily. If something happens or goes down or goes awry, who knows about what I've done? How can they find the documents? Where do I store them even? Anyways, it was really like jarring and shocking to me that law firms, big law firms, I realize maybe lawyers are a different breed. They're not quite product developers. They're not really business people. They do business, and they have this sort of service they provide, but they don't think about it how I would think about it, just coming from industry. Like, wait, this is a product. You have to have a full service offering for your clients, don't you? Apparently not. And this is a massive void. So tell me how, Dan, you figured this out yourself. You had the same experience, and what are you doing about it, man?
Yeah, thank you for that cue up. And what you're describing is a very common experience. Everyone kind of encounters some degree of what you're describing, where they're just left to themselves, DIY some kind of a solution as best as people can kind of figure it out.
Right.
And the real issue is that people do the planning like you're describing. You went to the big law firm, you put all the documents in place, but that's really only half of the solution that you need.
Right.
The moment when it matters that you produce those documents is when something's happened to you and now you need them. And so that's the gap that we've solved is access. Um, I'll give you an example from a real world example from one of our estate planning attorneys. This wealthy couple in Florida, they did their plan, extremely elaborate planning, went to the big law firm, and same thing, gave them the copy of the trust, gave them the copy of the will, lots of assets. The husband passes away. Now the widow has all of her accounts frozen, and she's struggling to buy groceries and pay the mortgage. And 3 months go by, and her life is completely on hold, right? Like, imagine this is layered over the grief that she's feeling also from her husband of 50 years passing away. So now she's trying to grieve and recover and pass through that period of her life. At the same time, she's borrowing money for groceries, and there's plenty of money, right? And so it's crazy, and it's all about just access to the documents. And they ended up finding the trust in the will that allowed her to get on with her life just randomly. They were looking for something else. It was in a drawer on the boat in the harbor. They weren't even there for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
crazy.
And so you'd have to be
So
almost like randomly searching, or maybe you stumble upon it. It was just a discovery that happened to save the day, that you're like, oh man, Charlie
yeah,
put it in his boat. Of course, he spends a lot of time there, or whatever. Like,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, that's
Or
great.
like another example, a lady I was talking to in a similar case as yours. She's a single lady. She lives in New Orleans, and she's prepared all of her documents, right, as we're supposed to do.
Right.
She bought this fireproof box, and it's sort of pre-sorted with, here's, put your trust in this slot, put your will in this slot. So it's nicely organized.
Mm-hmm.
She lives in New Orleans. Her brother, who would need that information, lives in Amsterdam. Her sister lives in Los Angeles.
Right.
So, even when you are kind of doing the best you can with the solutions that we've had in the past, it's just not sufficient. So we've really solved that problem with
Right.
Archively.
Right. So, okay. So, yeah, right. So you just said it there, Archively. So that's the name of the business, Archively. And so
Yeah.
this is a software-based app-style solution, storage service. Explain to people what it really is, because I think it's beyond, like, everybody knows that they can upload documents to the cloud now, at least if you're somewhat
Right.
tech-savvy. Not everybody still
Yep.
is kind of, maybe dealing with that a little bit. But that's kind of one level of getting a little bit better, where it's like, hey, at least across the ocean, whatever, we can all draw from the same Dropbox or something like that.
Right.
But this is beyond that. So explain kind of just specifically how it works, what you need to do to sign up, and what it really offers.
Yeah. Thank you. So here's how we sort of started. Dropbox is one of the kind of DIY solutions that people are using
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have a better alternative. But if you think about it, Dropbox launched in 2007,
Right.
and amazing technology, not knocking Dropbox. I can speak, but there's really not been innovation around online document storage since then. All of the ways that you can store documents are really just a UX overlaid on top of still that same underlying concept of
Right.
the cloud storage.
Mm-hmm.
So, the example I'd like to give is if you wanted to run your business, if you needed the latest tech to run your business, you're going to go find the most powerful tablet or iPhone or whatever you can
Right.
to conduct your business on the road. The last thing you would do is go back to the first generation iPhone and even dream that you would use that to run your business.
Right.
The first gen iPhone came out in 2007 also, the same year as Dropbox.
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't, like, under normal circumstances, we wouldn't dream of using technology that old to try to solve a problem today. So that's what we've really done, is innovate that whole online document storage from the ground up. So we've built Archively on blockchain. It's actually two different blockchains. It's immutable. The documents can't be altered. It's stored forever, and it's designed to last for generations. And then on top of that, we've layered really careful feature sets where you as the user can define who should have access when. For example, we have people that they want their kids to have access to a document, but not until they're 18.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I want my brother to know where these documents are, but I don't necessarily want him to know how much money I have in my bank account. We're not that kind of a family where we share that level of information. So he should only have access upon my death or whatever trigger you've decided.
Mm-hmm.
The other problem that we see more often, everyone automatically just sort of thinks of death, and that's important
as a trigger
to plan for
right,
as a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
But what about, just the slow decline into maybe dementia,
right,
Alzheimer's, something like that. So we've set up triggers for that as well, so that you're not stuck in the family's not stuck in this position where, hey, dad is just not mentally with us anymore,
right.
but he's not actually dead, and that's what triggers all of the trust documents.
Yeah, I was thinking of a
So
case of just like if you're hospitalized, you're knocked out, you're incapacitated somehow. And maybe this is midlife, people think about the end of life planning, but this is like,
right.
If you have small children, for example, this is something you should do immediately for both the adults, the parents, just in case something happens, something goes awry, right? You can do this. So let me ask you now, just kind of get into the sort of nuts and bolts of it a little bit, because I want to envision it in my own mind of like, okay, so this is something I would upload my documents into. The documents are stored in a little bit different, more secure way, an everlasting way, which I want you to discuss that a little bit. But tell me about how this gets communicated to the individuals that need to know, and is the state or nation, whatever, are like corners involved? Like, would you get these automatic triggers to say that, hey, someone died? What's the official notice? Who gets to decide that?
So we had some interesting problems to solve about that notice and how that trigger fires. So what we didn't want to do was store a document and then have someone contact us later, a family member, and say, okay, dad passed away, release the documents.
Mm-hmm.
Because what if the death certificate they sent us was altered or, not true at all? Then maybe they were just incapacitated. So we didn't want to be in that position where we were deciding whether a document was legal or not. That's not our expertise.
Right.
And even in that case, it didn't really solve the mental decline problem. That doesn't solve the emergency access problem that you just mentioned as well.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, the way we built the software is when you upload a document, you select one of three different categories of storage. The first category is what we call emergency access. So this would be a medical directive, power of attorney, maybe it's the copy of your passport because you're going to travel overseas.
Right.
Things like that when you need them now. So that's emergency access. You upload your document, you select at that point who should have access to the emergency access section of your profile on a document by document basis. So, when Uncle Joe is in a car crash and he's in the ICU and the doctor can perform the procedure that he needs to save his life, you're not having a conversation about where's the medical directive? Was it in the drawer? Is it in the safe?
Right.
It's in the guest house 2 hours drive from here. So
And so
you need that
in
document
that
now.
case, let me stop you here. In that case, he gets pulled into the emergency room, whatever. The doctor's waiting for a decision. Does the medical
Right.
system have direct access, or they still have to contact next of kin, and the next of kin has to look into that, that file folder or whatever?
Yeah, it would be whoever you designate.
Okay.
So
Right.
when you're uploaded that
Whoever you
medical
designate. Okay, in
directive,
that
you
case.
could
Okay.
say,
Gotcha.
yeah, you could say, my attorney should have emergency access, my wife, my son, whoever you designate can have that.
Okay. So that's still
Yeah.
part of just this. I just don't trying to understand the systems aspect of like, okay, when this thing goes down, okay, so the medical,
Yeah.
they're looking through his wallet trying to find some other contact info for who he's related to. If someone comes in in an emergency situation. So that
Right.
trail still has to feed back to someone who is authorized to allow that information to flow.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great question. Maybe in some future time we could integrate with the medical industry itself, but it's really fragmented.
Right.
There's no one source
Yeah,
that
that's
we
why I'm
could
asking. It's
send that to.
frustrating. There isn't a one source.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And you don't want to necessarily
Yeah.
give
So
people access if there's privacy concerns. This is it's a touchy area, I guess. So that's why there's been such maybe a big gap in it all these years. But at
mhm.
least this is taking it to the next level of like, hey, this is a central thing that everybody can start to know about. It's sort of like does he have a Facebook account? Like everybody will start to know. Like, well, does he have an Archively account? Aha, we can start to find out
Exactly.
like who
Beautiful.
gets access, where these documents would be, right? Okay, so what's the second one? You said you had 3 buckets.
Yeah. So second access, this is where we really had to do a lot of innovation. So the second level of access is what we would all sort of normally think of, a death event, or some mental incapacity.
Mhm.
So we set this up. This would be like your normal trusts, wills. Here's a list of where all my accounts are. Here's a list of my assets. We had a vacation house in the Bahamas that we never told anybody about, but here's
Right.
the whole list. We're also pairing the document with the ability to record a video or an audio.
Mhm.
So you can leave the farewell message. You can help the family. This is another problem that we talked about with so many people. Even when there was no dispute over, like the family fighting over who gets the house,
Mhm.
it was, a tight-knit family. There weren't those kind of probate problems, but they loved their dad, and they really didn't know how he wanted his life to be honored. Did he want to be cremated or buried where they could visit? Did he want his funeral to be a celebration of his life or a somber event? And so that was their sort of angst. So we're providing a solution for that as well. You can leave a farewell message that goes to each person.
Mhm.
You could give some kind of continuity of your thoughts of here's how, these things should be handled. And so this is the big piece that we're really proud of. The way that we provide access to this level is we call it a heartbeat check-in. So you as the user, you select a period of time every 30 days, every quarter, every 6 months, annually, that you need to log into the system and just verify, yep, I'm here, everything's good, here's my PIN number, and here's my biometrics. It's me, and I'm still good.
Mhm.
And so as long as you're doing that, everything just is on pause waiting for the day that something's happened. If you fail to check in, then your account goes into a 30-day pending status. The people that you've designated get notified, hey, Uncle Joe didn't check in. And then the attorney can say, oh, well, he's in the Bahamas and he doesn't have cell service or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if your 30-day pending period expires and you haven't checked in, then the documents get released to whoever you've designated should have access. So this solves, any kind of fraudulent death certificates. It solves Uncle Joe slowly declining into dementia and forgetting where everything is.
Mm-hmm.
It's really an elegant solution. We're really proud of that.
Is that something that you can, I guess, turn on, turn off? If you decide to use it, you can use it, or if you don't want to use that, you don't need to use it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely under user control. And if you're in your sort of maybe mid 50s setting this up, maybe you do your check-in once a year. But maybe if you're approaching 80, maybe you want it every month or every 2 months, something like that. So you can also change the the check-in time period as time goes by.
I see. Okay, that kind of answered my other question of if there was an automated process for notification or when these things happen.
Yeah.
So it's like you get a little ping or a little message. Obviously, most of us are connected these days electronically, so at least that's another level of, it's not buried in the house somewhere or whatever, or on a boat, like you said.
Right.
So people kind of know that it's there and they know they can have access to it. Okay, so what's the third bucket out there?
So the third bucket borrows a little bit from my experience in naval intelligence. Third bucket is the ultimate lockdown of your documents. So in the first two categories, when you upload your document, it gets encrypted first and then stored on a blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
So the decrypt key is stored on our servers. In level 3 of access, we no longer even have the decrypt key. So we take that decrypt key, it gets broken up into 5 pieces and sent to 5 places that you designate. And then we delete the decrypt key from our servers. So even if Archively were to be hacked, no one can get access to the documents in level 3 storage. The only way that document decrypt key can be released is if 3 of the 5 pieces come to join, and then that opens the document. So in this case, in all cases, we have zero knowledge of the documents. We don't see them.
Right.
But in this case, we can't even be subpoenaed for the document because I can't produce. All I could produce is an encrypted document. So this is for people who really, really want the ultimate level of privacy.
I see. And again, that would be directed by the individual, and they would still have to figure out when the time would come where we need access to the documents. Okay, so who are the 5 guys that Joe told to have the key or whatever? You still have to kind of figure out that problem, right?
Right.
Okay, but that gives the user more, kind of control or higher level of security, et cetera.
Yeah. So this, most documents don't need this kind of level of security, but in the times that people are selecting that, you want to be very intentional about how you're selecting.
When there's more assets at stake or securities or private companies involved or whatever it might be. I could see applications for we want this extra level, or the person was a politician or a diplomat. There's some other strange things where people might be targeting your information, celebrity or whatever.
Absolutely
it might be.
Right.
Okay, cool. Well, all right. So this is amazing that we've gotten to this level now, or you're bringing this to the marketplace. How long has Archively been around now? So, what's the development stages? How many clients, customers do you have? How is it entering the marketplace?
Yeah, we launched as our sort of early adopter beta test
Hmm.
about a month ago.
Okay.
So we're just signing up people as early adopters. Um, our path to the market so far has been through estate planning attorneys.
Mm.
So that's um, that's where, um, unfortunately, one of the things we discovered. So we spent about a year and a half developing it, and as we talked to all the all the people that we could talk to about the this problem, everyone sort of recognizes that, probate is bad, probate is
Right.
expensive and delays the family. Um, but it's a topic that most people either think of as that's a tomorrow problem, or it's just death and I'm uncomfortable and I don't want to
Right.
think
Don't want
about
to deal
that.
with it. Yeah.
Just don't want to deal with it and it's understandable. But um, what that creates is an awareness, but not action.
Hmm.
So people are either kind of not thinking about it, or they're thinking, well, I've got Dropbox, that should be fine. When we talk to the estate planning attorneys, they're the ones that 100% of their day are dealing with these problems. And so
Right.
they're really the ones that see the fallout and the families that, the brothers and the sisters that stop talking to each other for 5 years, and
Right.
the hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars that are lost in probate court just over 2 years of fighting for stuff.
Right.
So um, that's where we've really launched initially. So we're signing up attorney offices sort of at this moment.
Hmm.
Um, but uh, Yeah, we actually just kind of started a meta campaign direct to the consumer, and we're getting incredible response from that. So pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised because I know there's it's just been a big void in the marketplace. It still kind of blows my mind that no one's really come after it. So I'm encouraged that you're
Yeah,
getting this out there, and hopefully you get feedback and keep tweaking and kind of just letting the product offering mature because it's something that's definitely needed out there. Um, so I can see it working and see it being pulled in the marketplace once as you get it dialed in. But I know that you were coming to this relatively recently, and so I wanted to kind of rewind a little bit and understand
mm,
kind of where you're coming from and how you got into this because I don't think you were dreaming your whole life of being a entrepreneur in the planning space. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. But a fun fact about Dan, everybody, for everybody who's listening out there, is that I was reading that when you were 16, you entered college
mm.
and you were studying finance in college when you were 16. Okay, this
I
is a
started
weird
at
fun
16.
fact for me. Okay, because I want to I want to know that, and it was in Alabama somewhere. You were at University of Alabama, South Alabama, or something like that. Okay,
University of Southern Alabama.
Southern
Yep.
Alabama. Okay, so what on earth is going on in Alabama at this time? Is Alabama a hot spot of finance that I don't know about, or you were just a weird kid? Like what on earth drew you to that kind of endeavor, that niche when you're 16? I mean, that's kind of an interesting story.
Yeah. I a little bit luck, I suppose, and a little bit of hard work. So my mom was well, at that point, she was accepted at the University of Southern Alabama to get her PhD in education.
Ah, interesting.
And
Okay.
so we relocated. We the family moved to Mobile, Alabama, and I kind of got lucky, and maybe it was her connection at the school, but I had we were going from one type of school system where it was a set menu of classes that you had to take
Hmm.
into the Alabama school system, or the Mobile anyway, where it was more credit based. So I had enough credits where they would uh, allow me to graduate early if the university would accept me. And so I had to test into the university first
Okay.
and then, provide that. And so once they said, "Oh yeah, well, okay, we'll accept him,"
Gotcha.
then I could, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess a little bit of right place at the right
And that
time.
was your choice? It's like, "Hey, mom, looks like I can do this. Let me just go ahead and do it," right?
I
At that point?
I was I was bored in high school. I didn't feel
Right.
challenged, and to me, I thought, yeah, this is great. I'll get a head start on
Yeah. Right on.
on my life. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. All right. So you go through that, and you get out, and um, somehow you get started in real estate. So tell me what drew you to real estate as you're kind of getting out there and getting into your career years, and what happened there, because this is an interesting story of how things can rise up quickly but maybe fall quickly as well.
Yeah. Started in real estate here in Los Angeles in '91, and yeah, it was I I was able to focus. Real estate is one of those careers where you can kind of customize it to your own preference or skill set.
Sure.
So in my case, I wasn't really working with the normal kind of family looking for a home. I was really focused on investors and development real estate and, some value add. How can we turn this old property into something that
Gotcha.
produces good income?
Hmm.
Um, and so, yeah, met with success with that. And by the time we were 2006, we'd grown the company from zero really to about 30 million in revenue a year,
Mm,
and a couple hundred employees, 7 offices. So
incredible.
it was really really exciting and challenging, and then the 2008 crash happened
Right.
and really just wiped it all away. That was uh, the epicenter really of the 2008
Mm.
crash was real estate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Banking system, it was the
yeah,
whole 9 yards. Yeah.
yeah, 25 years building something and it was gone really in 7 months, 8 months.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one was, I mean, unless you were Michael Burry, I guess, hard to predict, right? I mean, no one really saw what was happening or was really paying that much attention, or things were rolling. The economy was kind of rolling. Really, the whole thing was very
Well,
interesting
we
time,
had
I guess.
spent it was yeah, it was a bunch of things going wrong all at the same time. We'd 25 years we had been through ups and downs, but
Right.
it it had always been, okay, rates went up 0.5%, and so, the bank would lay off 2,000, or the, mortgage company would lay off 2,000 people,
Hmm.
something like that. So we were we were really diversified as a firm. We had 5 different verticals within the firm. For that reason, it was complex to sort of run and operate, but I had built it that way on purpose, where expecting the normal variations in the economy over time. If, one of those 5 verticals wasn't performing, no problem. We had the other 4.
Right.
But yeah, 2008, to your point, was completely different. It just devastated everything that touched real estate.
Right. So okay, so
Yeah.
coming out of that, obviously you're like, wow, what just happened to me? Where did my business go? I mean, it's pretty crazy
Yeah.
times. Um, what were you thinking? How did you pivot out of that? And how did you kind of gain this insight into, the estate planning situation, et cetera? Like, where did that come from? This idea of like, hey, there's this void in the market, because at this point, up until this point in your career, you're doing real estate. You're not really paying attention to estate planning or other things like that.
Right. Um, yeah. So my son was born right as all of that crash was happening. Most of the world experienced it 2008. We refer to it as the 2008 financial crisis. But in real estate, in the lending and real estate market, it really happened in end of 2006 and into 2007. That's where the dominoes were starting to fall for
Mm-hmm.
our industry. And my son was born in the first part of 2007. So I really just took a couple of years off. It was traumatic. It was, what do I do with my life now? And um, all of the, all of the contacts and the people that I knew from 25 years of, making friends and developing a good reputation that, you think, okay, well, if something goes wrong with my job, I'll call my buddy Joe and I'll get a
Mm-hmm.
job, right? Like we were all in the
But
same
you're all in the same boat.
situation.
Yeah.
Nobody, yeah.
Yep.
So,
I got laid off once. I felt the same thing. Like everybody just like me. I was living in Boston in the
yeah,
tech sector, basic engineering world. There's
yeah,
2,000 people with my specific expertise get laid off basically. So everybody I know, all my contacts are like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing either. You call them 10 people a
yeah,
day. You're like, we don't know what we're doing. And they all start disappearing and scattering, finding new things to do,
yeah. It's so disconcerting.
Yep.
This what we imagine is the stability of our lives is really
It's
fragile
fantasy all the time.
sometimes. Yeah.
Right. Um,
Yeah. But yeah, so I took a couple of years off, and then um, my CPA one day called me up and said, "Hey, there's one of my other clients is doing some really interesting things in wealth management. Um, he knew about what was going on in my life. He says, like, why don't you give him a call? Why don't you go check it out and see what he's doing?" Um, and so this was like a pretty boutique wealth management firm in Beverly Hills, four billionaires, multiple ultra high net worth
mhm.
clients. And it was really kind of a natural fit for me because uh, it was all investment related still, which was my entire career. And, um, running a company is putting together complex planning. So it wasn't that different from some of the things that we did in the firm. So I got a really, really unique access and experience and training and insights into this pretty exclusive world that operates um, at a different place than most of us, really need.
Right.
And so that it came up a lot, where we were trying to solve problems. Somebody would pass away, or just so many examples. One guy, a really successful doctor. Now he's 80. His trust that he had set up very carefully for his family, he lost it. He couldn't find the trust.
Mm-hmm.
The attorney that he set up the trust with 50 years ago had retired.
Right.
The guy that took that guy's place had also retired. It had been that long,
Right. Right.
So, just really difficult. And meanwhile, now he's struggling with a little dementia. So, we've been in the place where we're trying to help the families solve these problems. And because of the nature of the clients, we're doing that with multiple estate planning attorneys. And so it's, it's
A lot of people
kind of a
involved.
team effort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it just sort of evolved where on the side of solving the problem, we really identified, hey, this is a real gap. People aren't prepared for this, no matter how well they think they are.
Right.
And there's no good solution. And so that's where Archively was born.
I gotcha. Well,
It
thanks
was really to help people.
Yeah, thanks for stepping into the space, man. Just from my one voice here, but I'm sure when other people hear about it, they'll check it out, and I'm sure that it's a welcome, addition to this, this landscape of estate planning and just kind of managing your assets and those kinds of things. So Awesome. Well, look,
Yeah.
we got a few more minutes here on the
Thank you.
podcast, but when we get
Okay.
towards the end, there's always a couple of questions I like to ask people, and this is
Sure.
of course relates to your experience. And one is I ask people if they can share a reinvention revelation. That's what I call it. So as as you moved along in your career, and now your latest thing is developing archivally as a product. Maybe you
Mhm.
didn't imagine yourself being this type of entrepreneur. What's something you can share with someone that would maybe get them moving along their path or their journey a little more quickly? Something you learned along the years of being able to pivot and reinvent and develop new things.
Wow. That's a great that's a great and meaningful question. I think just never give up. There's um, there's so many times in your life that things are going to go wrong. I've been knocked down more times than I can count, and um, certainly made my share of mistakes. And I don't know. For me, the saving grace is, and I thank my mom for this as the doctor of education. She gave me a curiosity about the world,
Mm,
and she made learning fun. So it's sort of programmed in my mind that I look at the world with curiosity and optimism and wanting to learn more about new things and discover new things. And I think that's really helped me when I've been in tough spots and bad situations in the past. Two things: the curiosity and optimism about, well, hey, what's over that hill? Maybe there's something better, and then just the perseverance to keep climbing no matter how difficult it seems. That's been what's brought me to where I'm at.
right, right. Well, I resonate with both of those, man. I feel often that
Hmm.
curiosity is one of my superpowers. That I just like figuring
It
out
really
how
is.
things work. Why
Yeah.
is this the way it is? How does it work? Whether it's of specific interest to me or not, it's when my mind locks onto something, it's like, wait, why is this happening this way? Why does that work?
And how do I fix it?
How do I fix
Yeah.
it, maybe, or how do I
Hmm.
benefit from it, or how do I make sure I don't get run over by this bus that's coming down the road, in terms of the world or technology or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really helps you sort of navigate the world these days. So I got one final question for you in terms of navigating the world. Like you said, you're
Mm.
stay curious, and you want to persevere over these things. What do you what feels urgent to you these days? What feels urgent? Like, is there something that you're urgently curious about or anxious about, or how are people feeling? I think people have this a little bit low level lying anxiety out there with AI and all these things that are changing. But how are you thinking about things?
I think that the the world is definitely changing, and there are events that are completely out of our control that affect everything that we're doing every day. And so, um, the way I solve anxiety is to at least have some kind of a plan as well as possible
Hmm.
uh, for solving the unknown. And that's a pretty big task, but I actually just wrote an article about that on Medium.com. So it's a great question because I've just written a 6,000 word article on this.
Wow. Okay.
So um, yeah, it one of just I know we're short for time here, but like one of the solutions is to it was a term for business, stage gating.
Hmm.
And the
Right.
the concept is before you commit to building a new factory or developing a supply chain to some other country, just instead of the old model would be you build that out and you deploy the resources, money and time and personnel. Um, Instead of doing that now in the world that can change so quickly, just take one step at it. What's the minimum commitment you can make today to move you towards that goal? Um, and have what's your definition of success after the end of that commitment, and then that takes you a step farther and a step farther. And so I think we can take that model in our personal lives as well is just build in adaptability, build in flexibility for the things that are long-term decisions. Maybe think about that in a way that you didn't think about it before, in stages where you can go so far and then, pop, like, have you seen the prairie dogs in the plains of Africa? They pop their head up out of the hole and they're super cute and they look around like, is there danger? Okay, I can go a little
They
farther.
keep moving.
That kind of a concept, and so just try to build in some stages to big decisions and
Right.
big commitments.
Well, it makes sense. I was project manager for a long time, so and advanced development engineer, so I intimately know all the stage gate process of engineering, how to do
Perfect.
product development, and yeah, the way I think of it is that
Yeah.
it's just a way to pull you into consciousness about the risks that you're taking, right? It's just like, hey,
Yes.
and you could decide to take the risk. And so I tell people all the time, when they feel like they're overwhelmed with stage gates and whatever, and I'll never be able to jump over this bar and all these lists of requirements, it's like, no.
Mm.
You don't need to meet any of them, but you just need to be conscious about how you're moving forward. You could take a huge risk if you want with all your assets, or you could just take this time to manage them and make a different decision. But,
Right.
to proceed blindly is probably not the best idea, So that's how I think of it. Anyway,
Great
Dan,
advice.
it's been great
Yeah.
having you on the podcast. I really appreciate your
Likewise.
time and jumping on here and you diving into the void that is out there for for estate planning, document management, and asset management as people kind of go forward. If people are interested in Archively or kind of reaching out to you, learning more about it, where would you send them? What should they do?
Yeah, my I guess maybe two places. Our company website is beechworks.com, BEECHWERKS.com.
Okay.
But absolutely go check out Archively. That's ARCHIVELY.com. Everyone can try it out and see what they think, and hopefully, prepare their family better for the future.
Right. I gotcha. Okay. Well, those links will be in the show notes for sure, so you can always check for them there.
Cool.
And Dan, thanks again. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's amazing.
All right. Thank you for listening to Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast. If you want to hear more, join our mailing list at jimjimsreinventionrevolution.com. See you next time, and remember, the revolution has just begun. So dig in, embrace the process of reinvention, and start realizing the success you've always dreamed of. Hey, revolutionaries, if you enjoyed today's episode and today's guest, let them know by commenting on their Facebook page, finding their Twitter handle or Instagram feed, and letting them know you heard them on Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast, and tell them what you got out of the episode, what you really liked, or how they inspired you. I know they would get a kick out of it and will help others find the same value that you found.